So President Joe Biden has now officially announced a lot of his plans that he has for our country going forward into 2023. And with this very likely potentially now going to be the last video I'm probably going to be making in 2022, I do want to maybe say just a huge thank you to every single person who's been here throughout the year. Hopefully every single person is staying safe and warm. Hopefully everyone had a better year than certainly the last 2 years. I can certainly say objectively, considering the fact that, back in 2020, as most of you guys remember, almost nothing was, at least barely any positive things were happening because we were constantly dealing with the pandemic. Hopefully we can say that with everything now recovering, with things reopening again, while there are still a lot of hardships, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's video, some of them, hopefully we can say is that at least the world collectively, even objectively in some ways, is already improving a lot better than what it was about 2 years ago. And I think that's the really cool, maybe even you can say bright, hopeful, positive news to really start off, or just to really share with you guys. But the big idea is that now moving forward is that in today's video, what I really want to talk about is pretty much President Joe Biden's plans for our country going forward. This video is definitely going to be really relevant, even if you're watching this in the beginning of 2023, because it talks about what's going to be happening in the coming very near future. So regardless if you're watching this on release date or if you're watching this even a month from now, this is the video that's going to be relevant. So with that being said, let's just get this video started. But maybe real fast before we begin, as always, remember to smash the like button if you guys hopefully enjoy videos, or you can watch to the end to decide. But it is just something greatly appreciated if you guys want to. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, maybe personal thoughts about honestly just anything. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So we're going to basically start by just running through all of the different policies that he really has, or things that he's going to be working on, and the problems that he still sees our country is currently facing. And then we're going to wrap this up by basically talking about the significance of what this all means for us going forward into the new year. So the first thing that he really wants to work on is basically everything related to the military. The big idea is that, as most of you guys know, is that right now at this time, Ukraine is still at war with Russia. And now, however, with that being said, one of the just general news, again, you can take it as good or not so good news, because I know there's a lot of controversial mixed opinions about it, is that they did recently just approve their $1.7 trillion bill. We talked about it in one of the last videos, so definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. It's going to be at the end screen, when you watch to the end, and on the bottom, you guys can check it out after that. But the big idea is that within that particular bill, there is a section within it that talks about everything related to the military. So this is both about the US military, but also about foreign military as well. So what this means is essentially is that they're hoping to try to send out even more money to help the war effort inside of Ukraine in order to keep them holding firm and strong with everything that's going on. So they're going to be sending some money to Ukraine. And they do have some money set aside that they're not necessarily going to send now, but it's almost like a deposit where it's going to be potentially send to Taiwan. Basically, they've reserved a certain amount of money where they want to keep it to themselves for now, but it's really used almost as insurance, where if something were to happen to Taiwan, they're also going to send it there. And then, of course, most of all is that they're also going to be doing a lot of stuff related to helping out their own military. So everything related to the military services, veterans, taking care of, our soldiers and everything like that, that's going to be the first thing that he's really going to be working on right now. Now, the next thing that he's really going to be trying to work on is, of course, the big golden topic is really pretty much about everything related to inflation. And you can even throw on unemployment with there too. So the big idea is that, as most of you guys know, everyone here knows basically more or less, is that our country is going through a massive inflation crisis right now that's going on. This is impacting almost every single person, regardless of their economic background. Obviously, for a lot of people that are, struggling in need, this is going to be impacting them. But even a lot of big corporations, this is going to be impacting them. It's also going to really impact everything else because, as you guys know, is that the economy, everything is basically tied together because money moves. It has to move and it has to cycle to be able to have a healthy economy. And the big idea is that it's one of those things where he's going to be spending the next, potentially even the rest of 2023 as well. So the entirety of 2023, helping to try to reduce inflation. This is certainly going to be something he's going to be working on for at least the first 6 months, and likely to be something he's going to be working on even during the second half or / the last 6 months of the particular year. And this is also going to potentially impact unemployment as well, because the big idea is that as inflation increases, it also means that it's going to inflict a lot of damage to the economy. And that also means that a lot of companies are going to be taking an even greater hit than what is already going on right now, which means that most of all, what this means for us is that the unemployment rate is expected to sadly go up again. Maybe they're going to do more unemployment benefits programs. We don't know about that. But at the very least, we can say in terms of the situation of unemployment is that it's increasing. And I think that's just something that's very important to know. So it's very important that if we're currently employed, to try our best to try to keep our jobs. And if we're currently not employed, to just understand is that it's going to potentially be difficult. And I think that that's just something that we have to go in to really know what's going on. Is there something that we can do about it? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there are still limitations and a lot of things that we just simply cannot control. And I think we just have to understand what's happening right now. Now, the next plan that he's really going to be talking about is something that I think all of us really will be able to relate to, and it's going to be about everything related to social programs, but specifically about programs meant to put money inside of our pockets. Now, the really great news is, or we'll just start with some lesser good news, is that the lesser good news is that although they did just recently approve, as most of you guys know, that $1.7 trillion stimulus package, one of the biggest things about it though is that there were a lot of programs that were left out. I definitely highly recommend checking out that video that we made that talks about which programs were actually left out. I believe it's literally just called The House Approves the $1.7 trillion. And it's going to be at the end screen again when you watch the end on the bottom. But the big idea is that there were a lot of social programs that sadly were not able to be included inside of that particular bill. Things such as like child tax, because I was going to say Social Security. There were actually certain things within Social Security that sadly were not included, but sadly, child tax credit was not included inside of that. Stimulus checks were traditional stimulus checks were definitely not included inside of that. Social Security was actually included inside of that, but it was one of those things where it was kind of a weird situation where they did include Social Security, but many people felt they wanted even more. So they included it, but they wanted to include even more inside of that particular bill. And I think that's one of the biggest things. So a lot of the stuff that they were not able to fight or to be able to put inside of that recent bill that was approved, the big idea is that they're going to be trying to work on now, trying to approve those particular programs. It's going to be relatively difficult, but I know President Biden does support it. It's going to be difficult, especially because as you guys most probably know by now, is that inside of Congress, the Republicans did take over part of Congress as well. So because of that reason, we have a little bit of a balance of power now. It's going to be a little bit trickier for Democrats to try to approve things because now they do have to get many Republicans to be on their side. However, with that being said, is that it's just one of those things that at least they're going to be making an effort to try to go in and try to pursue it, and that's the most important thing. And the last thing that he's really going to be working on, and we're just going to clump this all together because this actually can be broken into many parts, but it's just a lot of just miscellaneous programs that he really wants to focus on. So examples of this would be things such as like climate change, immigration policies, foreign affairs, everything in that particular world, energy, gas, all that stuff. He wants to work on a lot of things related to that. This is the part that the reason I left it for last is because it's definitely not on his absolute priority list. The biggest priority, and again, feel free to comment what you think should be the priority in this situation, but to him, the biggest priority is that he wants to definitely focus a lot on inflation. I think inflation is probably going to be the #1 topic he's going to focus on. Afterwards, it's going to be related to social programs. So things, again, as mentioned, child tax credit, social security, student loan forgiveness, everything in that particular money in our pockets world kind of thing. And then afterwards, it's going to be all of the miscellaneous stuff, as just mentioned, like climate change, energy, gas, oil, everything related to that. That is stuff that he's going to be working on afterwards. But of course, what actually ends up happening, does he actually physically, is he able to do it in the end? All of that stuff, we just have to see in one of the future episodes of The Kevin Show. So with that being said, that's what I really wanted to just cover in today's update. So if you guys made it to the end, maybe feel free to leave a comment. If you guys enjoyed that, maybe remember to smash the like button. If you guys haven't done so, consider subscribing, hitting the bell. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Thanks for another incredibly great year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, or everything in that world, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.